every time it's like a timeline. It's a construct of the mechanics of how dimensionalized time systems work. So we go through cycles. This is very much, the Mayan calendar talks about this as well. The 2012 is the end of that 26,000-year cycle. That's what the ascension is. We become aligned to the galactic center. The galactic center would hit the Earth core where the inner Stargate and Templar gates are. The gates open, and this allows a whole new level of frequency, energy, beings, etc. Who knows? Happen. So that's actually what ascension is in terms of its mechanics. So we agreed to participate in evolution and reincarnation, to assemble DNA strands, to clear karma, to heal whatever on the planet, because again, we're a part of the larger collective too. Now we're reaching a time of ascension where our agreements are done at that level. So the vow break is a wonderful tool to use. And I do urge you to maybe meditate a little bit. I've put in some samples of like any vow of illusion or separation. Some of us that have done some deep delving know we've had some agreements. You know, so put in, you know, if you feel something, you know, you want to put that in and also say that. And you'll feel it. You want to say it with conviction. It's something that's meaningful to you. You know, you don't have to use my words. Use something that's meaningful to you. But I do have this as a sample language for you, because almost all of us took the vow of illusion, took the vow of duality. So, you know, if that is resonating with you, you want to release those agreements, because you're willing to move beyond that now. It's time to become a multidimensional being.
If we have all of these, we have made all these collective vows, and we're now in the process of cleaning, and we're coming up on new revolution and ascension. What are the new agreements? I mean, if we are in the center of that huge beam of light and we go into ascension, what's the new creation? Or how do we start to develop that to create the new world?
Well, you know, it is interesting. I think that, you know, this is a whole nother class, because basically what has been described is what I'm describing today was really a basic primer in our 3D anatomy structure, because again, it's important to understand our energy bodies. But what has been described to me is that we're now in Ascension Plan B, and I think you've heard me talk about that before, where this is representative of the particle universe, okay? We actually are in sets of 3. We have a particle universe that looks like this. We've got an anti-particle universe. We've got an inner Earth. So it looks like now, and again, you know, it's kind of like hot off the press. It's that we are merging with the antiparticle universe and moving into an entirely new space. In this new space of the new Earth, I've started to be introduced to new beings that I've never been in contact with before. Some of them are represented as the elemental command. It very much answers what Belinda was talking about the constituents of all of us at this level when we were incarnated. In the first and second dimension is the elements, of which comprise our carbon form. And now that we are moving into a biological ascension, we're getting re-encrypted with these new elements so that our physical biologies will actually be able to withstand these particular energy frequencies. We are now starting to move into this space, and it's been described to me, if you have done the Maharic, the 12-dimensional seal, those frequency hubs were described to me as the points of us merging into this antiparticle universe. So the interesting thing is that what I'm describing to you is called stair-step ascension. That what our first plan was that we were going to ascend this whole Earth, and it would move. Think of the 7 layers. These are the 7 chakras of the Earth connected to us, the 7 planes of reality. The Earth was going to start moving. We move in a spiral like this. And so the ascension is like right when we're on the corner. So the Earth is now, it's not a good pen here. So the Earth is now like in the stair step of the time matrix that works like this. The Earth is now here, where the Earth is attempting to move into this zone. But what's happening is that there's a lot of energies not being able to be supported. There's still a lot of conflict. There's still not enough beings that are holding the ascension light enough to bring it up. So it seems that what's now happened is that the center of the earth that had the stargates is now closed. They have sealed this off. Now if they seal that off, what that means is the natural planetary ascension cannot occur, because the energies that were coming into the planet are conducted from the center. So the fact that it's closed off means we've gone into plan B. So now they are describing something entirely different. I'm like, just when you thought you got the hang of it, you know? Not everyone's going. And there's sadness in that. Okay, so there's the honoring of free will and choice, but the beings that are not choosing to move through this and choosing the other classroom, there is sadness over this. So that's just the experience.
By the other classroom, do you mean like not
meaning
being taken apart? Or something?
meaning that they will have another however many years of reincarnational wheel and being in the enslavement of the Anunnaki. They will not, at this time of the game, be able to be harvested to move into their self-sovereign divinity. They will be having a reality that will still be, suffering and not, and blindness from their own true, who they really are. So I think, I think the interesting part was that Plan A, I think, was ascending the whole planet. And so they started to discuss now that there are actually going to be pockets where there's going to be quite a bit of terror. Those that are resonating in fear will be exacerbated pretty severely. So this is the challenge, is that the external world is going to look chaotic as long as we're connected and we don't get caught up into the external drama, but that's going to be hard. It's hard to view suffering. Nobody wants to look at it. You know what I mean? It is hard to look at that from a place of non-judgment and say, okay, well, that being's choosing that. So it's kind of from that standpoint, I think. And that was new for me. I've had to chew on that one a bit, because I was the happy, we're all doing it, and yada yada, and I'm so excited, and it was really weird for me to have beings now my council is saying, don't send light, like I have to conserve my light in certain ways. That's weird. So I'm learning too as I go that what they're basically saying is the chasm now has grown so large between these pockets of descending, and they're calling it descending matrix and an ascending matrix. So the polarity is becoming more and more amplified, let's say. So we're going to start to view what appears to be very chaotic and maybe dark in the world. You know what I'm saying? And again, that could be the great cleansing. So it's a wonderful thing on a certain level, because it's certainly a harbinger of change and transformation. But it is going to be challenging to view certain groups of people in suffering, because of the fear consciousness, and the entities will jump on that fear consciousness and amplify it. So it'll become very, again, amplified. So I think that's what you're sensing in me.
That's the rapture picture, only inside out. Is that correct?
The rapture picture, but
only inside out. I mean, the people who believe that if you
Yes.
believe in Jesus, you're raptured up, and the rest will stay in
Yes.
hell. It's kind of
yes, because you'll be creating your own hell. Because your mind will believe it exists that way.
And some of this, like from the first class where you said the forces who don't want the earth to ascend, they're goofing with us, like the Anunnaki.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So it's like that's the whole challenge. I would say the most important thing at this time is you must eradicate fear out of your life and develop your connection. And literally your reality will shift and change. You may have your neighbor's house go into cataclysm, and you will be sitting there totally protected. It's literally an energetic resonance. And so that's going to be kind of strange for us, because we're going to be walking in pockets of consciousness where even structures have a certain dimensional quality. You'll walk into a building and it's fifth dimensional, and then you'll walk into somewhere else and you'll feel wow, this feels funky in here. And you'll go, I don't want to be here, You can feel it immediately. So it's not anything you need to be concerned about. The challenge is for the beings that are not aware of this, that are just getting more and more in fear or believe in the dogma of the end of the Armageddon or something, because that's getting fed to believe that. So if enough beings believe that, then that will be their experience, and that's,
So like, here's a question. You know how you get stripped down before you can get ascended, whatever. As you're having some more of the stuff stripped down of your multidimensional life, how do you know if you're supposed to just release it so you can stay in the light, or if you're being goofed with it by an Anunnaki? Do you know what I mean?
Mhm. Well, if you generally feel entity manipulation, you can ask yourself, one of the things I do suggest is muscle testing, or even sometimes experimenting with a pendulum.
Well,
I mean,
this is, it has to do with like ley lines and
Mhm.
feng shui.
Yes.
Things. I live in a challenging house where you can harness the energy and you can be very creative. But when I've had a reading, a Chinese reading, can you rise above the feng shui of the house? The ley
well, see,
lines?
it is challenging, because what you're talking about now is that energetic funk is
Mhm.
being attracted into certain vortices, like where you get, it's happening on the planet too,
Mhm.
Where aberrant energy will be somewhere, just from whatever reason, there was something that went on there that is attracting that. So it could be too as well that you're under training to understand how to harmonize your agreement with the land and your agreement with the house. Okay, each one of us, when we have a house or we are somewhere that we live, we have an agreement with it. It is actually speaking to it as if it is a conscious thing. You know what I'm saying?
I totally know what you're saying.
So you
because
bring in your
it-
divas, you bring in the land spirits, you bring in everybody there, and it's almost like a consortium. You go, okay, we've got this issue. What is it that we need to do to fully clear this space and bring it into its highest, light or energy, possible. So it could be that you're being trained. Like that's happened to me too. Like I'll find myself in a weird space. Like, why am I here? This is so strange. And I had a situation like that too. I was moved into a house that had a whole bunch of ghosts and a bunch of things going on in there. And I was, in the beginning I was a little pissed. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Is the rest ever, is any rest for the weary or what?
Exactly,
I'm like
yeah,
fighting them in the middle of the night and like, my God, But what they were doing is they said, okay, you know how to clear a human field. Now let's see how you do a space.
Okay.
And so I understood that it was structure, was the house itself, and it was the house's relationship to the land. There was a land agreement. So I had to have a conversation with everybody. The house, the land, the beings in it. Bring in the beings. I mean, it was like a whole, and we all worked on it together, and it really helped. And this was in Venice, so that was where all the gangs, and I didn't realize that a lot of the gang and drug and weird stuff that went on in Venice was attracted to this house. So this house was like a portal, and it was like, it looked wonderful from the outside, but it felt like a crack house when you were in it. It was bizarre.
That's
it's like, what
funny
is
because
this?
the people who had the house before us, that's the situation that it had turned into.
Yeah.
And so that it
Yes.
had been clean. But I had done a bunch of feng shui remedies until the energy shifted on the fourth. And I noticed it like clockwork. I'm like, oh my God. So who knows? Yeah.
Well, it looks like we need to come to a close. And so we didn't have time for a meditation today, but does everybody feel there was a lot of information here? So was it kind of a new spin? Because we went on the 3D anatomy. Do you feel like you have kind of a grasp on the 4 body, 3 brains, and we'll see. I think next class will be more about the initiation levels. We kind of tapped on that a little bit, about what happens as we move through the planes, and we'll probably talk some more about that. But
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.